I came back from my deployment, and that Willow Hayes girl just clung to me like a ghost. My family was hounding me about blind dates, so I casually told them she and I were dating. The next thing I knew, she was standing outside my door, holding a pillow. "Caleb, your agreement girlfriend reporting for duty." I warned her not to cross any lines, but she still climbed into my bed in the middle of the night. "Just a hug, I'm cold." Now the whole old neighborhood knows that Caleb Stone is completely wrapped around a young woman's finger. Clang. The train shuddered to a stop. I grabbed my duffel bag and stood up, every joint in my body cracking. 3 years away, and this small-town station looked exactly the same. The air had a damp, moldy smell, mixed with the faint scent of stale coffee and microwave popcorn. "Caleb, over here." I looked up and saw my mother, Beverly, aggressively waving at the exit gate. Standing next to her was a girl in a white sundress, quiet and composed. It was Willow Hayes. I walked over. Mom grabbed my arm instantly. "You're thin and you're tanned." Her eyes were a little red-rimmed. "The unit fed us fine." I let her hold on to me. Willow shifted half a step forward, her voice soft. "Caleb." I grunted, which served as a greeting. She was taller than before, and her hair was longer. Her eyes were still so bright, looking at a person like they were brimming with water. "We'll took a day off work specifically to come pick you up when she heard you were coming home," Mom said, pulling Willow's hand. The wrinkles around her eyes deepened as she smiled. Willow's ear tips were slightly pink, but she didn't say anything. The walk out of the station wasn't long, and my mother's chatter never stopped. "It's good to have you back. It's good to have you back. Don't worry about work. Take some time to rest first." Mrs. Peterson next door introduced me to a girl who works at a consulting firm. "Want to meet her tomorrow?" My brow furrowed. "Mom, I just got back." "That's exactly why you need to hurry. You're 27. Willow walked beside me, always maintaining a half-step distance. I could smell the faint scent of laundry detergent on her. By the third day at home, I regretted retiring. From dawn till dusk, the neighbors and relatives kept coming over. "Does Caleb have a girlfriend yet? When are you getting married? My niece is gorgeous. Do you want me to introduce you?" I sat on the couch, feeling like a monkey in a zoo exhibit. No rush. Aside from that, I didn't know what else I could say. Willow was there too. She'd come to drop off a batch of homemade pickled relish for my mom. She was currently peeling an apple, her fingers slim and white. The apple peel curled down in a continuous spiral without breaking. "You might not be in a rush, but I am." My mom slapped her thigh. "I'm this age, I want grandkids." Aunt Carol chimed in from the side. "Exactly, Caleb is so handsome, it would be a waste of good genetics not to get married." Annoyed, I ran a hand through my hair. My gaze swept across the living room and stopped on Willow. She had just finished peeling the apple and looked up at me. Her gaze was clear and straightforward, just like when she was little and running around chasing me. On a complete impulse, I spoke up, "Stop hounding me." The entire room fell silent. I pointed at Willow. "I have a girlfriend." "Willow, she is." I was stunned myself after saying it. Willow stood frozen, holding the peeled apple. A blush slowly crept up her face. My mother's jaw dropped, and Aunt Carol forgot to crack her sunflower seeds. "You too. Since when?" I forced myself to keep spinning the lie. Recently." Willow was still stunned. I walked over and took her hand. "It was cold." "Right, well." She looked at me, blinked once. Then, very softly, but clearly she said yes. "I am Caleb's girlfriend." Everyone left, and it was just the two of us in the living room. I released her hand and realized her palm was sweaty. "Just now." I attempted to explain. "I know," she interrupted. "It's an act." She handed me the peeled apple. "Here." I took it and bit into it. It was pretty sweet. "The family pressure was too intense," I said. "I dragged you in to save the day." "Understood," she nodded. "How long do you need me to cooperate?" I looked at her serious expression and suddenly found it funny. "What? Are you planning to sign a contract?" "I can." She actually pulled out her phone. "Let's write something down so you don't back out." I was amused by her. "Fine, what should it say?" She opened her notes app and read solemnly. "Dating cooperation agreement. Party A, Caleb Stone. Party B, Willow Hayes. To manage Party A's family pressure regarding marriage, Party B voluntarily agrees to serve as a temporary girlfriend. Term, tentatively set for 3 months." I raised an eyebrow. "You're really professional." "I am." She looked slightly smug. "I interned a law firm. We drafted the contract on the couch." She typed, I dictated. Article 1, non-interference in each other's private lives. Article 2, mandatory public performance in front of family members. Article 3. She suddenly stopped and turned to look at me. At a clause. Party A must eat the meals prepared by Party B on time. I frowned. Why? You have a bad stomach, she said, looking down and continuing to type. You always had stomach aches when you were a kid. Something in me softened. Whatever you want. The contract was finished, and she sent it to my iMessage. Sign here. She smiled. I looked at her smile and felt a sudden sense of disorientation. When did this girl grow up so much? I thought that was the end of it. At most, we just put on a show for my parents. Saturday morning, the doorbell woke me up. When I opened the door, Willow Hayes was standing there with a large suitcase. Behind her was my mother's beaming face. Willow is moving in with you for a while. My head started ringing. Mom, no, that's not necessary. Why not? Mom glared at me. You two are dating. What's wrong with cohabiting? Willow stood there, her ears red. Aunt Bev said, it would look more convincing. I looked at her massive suitcase, my temples throbbing. Mom shoved the suitcase inside and clapped her hands. Take good care of Willow. I'm leaving. The door slammed shut. We were left staring at each other in the entryway. You're really staying here? I rubbed my temples. She nodded. Article 2 of the agreement. Mandatory public performance in front of family members. No one is watching right now. But your mom could stop by any time for a spot check. I had no response. The apartment had 2 bedrooms. I was in the master, and the second room was full of junk. I pointed at the second room. You clean it out yourself? She nodded obediently. When she tried to drag the suitcase, the wheels caught on the threshold. I reached out and helped her lift it over. Thanks, Caleb. Her voice was cheerful. I watched her busy herself, cleaning and organizing the room, and felt a strange restlessness. She was hugging a pillow, staring at me expectantly. Caleb, what? That room. It has a huge spider. I frowned. How is that possible? I cleaned it last week. She shrank her shoulders. Really a huge one. I walked over and checked everywhere. Nothing. It must have run off, she insisted. I looked at her fingers gripping the pillow and understood. Scared. She lowered her head, her earlobes turning red. A little. I sighed. So what do we do? She looked up, her eyes bright. Can I sleep on the sofa? Suit yourself. I turned and walked back to my room. Just before closing the door, I heard her tiny voice. Good night, Caleb. I was woken up by a delicious aroma. I opened the door and saw the dining table fully set. Fried eggs, oatmeal, small side dishes, and even steamed dumplings. Willow was busy in the kitchen, wearing my apron. You're up. She turned and smiled. It'll be ready in a second. I leaned against the doorframe, watching her. You woke up this early? Habit. She placed the last dish on the table. I wasn't sure what you liked, so I made a little of everything. I sat down, looking at the feast. That's too much. Then pick what you like to eat. She sat across from me, resting her chin in her hands, watching me. I took a sip of the oatmeal. The temperature was perfect. How is it? Her eyes were shining. It's all right. It was actually excellent, 100 times better than the cafeteria food back at the unit. But her expectant look prevented me from giving a real compliment. She didn't seem to mind, smiling as she poured her own bowl of oatmeal. You have a sensitive stomach. You need to eat breakfast on time. I lowered my head to eat, offering no reply. After breakfast, I went to wash the dishes, but she snatched them away. I'll do it. The agreement states Party B is responsible for household chores. I raised an eyebrow. Is that a clause? It is. She was completely straight-faced. I added it last night. I texted you the revision. I pulled out my phone and checked. Sure enough, at 2 in the morning, she had sent a revised contract. New clause added. Party B is responsible for cooking and cleaning. Party A may not refuse. You were up revising contracts in the middle of the night. I don't sleep well in new place. I was restless. I thought of the sofa in the living room. It wasn't very comfortable. Tonight, you take the bed, I'll take the sofa. She immediately turned around. No. Why not? You are Party A. You cannot sleep on the sofa. I laughed in exasperation. What kind of rule is that? Party B's rule, she said, drying her hands and looking serious. I cannot mistreat Party A. In the end, we compromised. She would sleep in the second room. I would sleep in the master. Neither of us would sleep on the sofa. But in the middle of the night, I heard a soft knock again. It was light like a cat scratching. I opened the door, and Willow Hayes was standing outside, clutching her pillow. Caleb, now what? There's thunder, she whispered. I'm scared. It was indeed thundering outside, rain slamming against the windows. I looked at her shrunken posture and remembered she had always been afraid of thunder when she was little. Back then, she would just crawl into my covers. Come in. I stepped aside. Her eyes lit up, and she instantly slipped inside. I'll just sleep on the floor. She started to lay down her pillow. I stopped her. Sleep on the bed. She froze. I'll sleep on the floor, I added. She shook her head. No, you're Party A. Shut up. I pushed her gently onto the bed. If you make another sound, you're going back to the spare room. She immediately fell silent and lay still. I made my makeshift bedding on the floor and turned off the light. In the darkness, I could hear her breathing and my own heartbeat. Caleb, thank you. I didn't reply. A long time passed, and I thought she had fallen asleep. But then she suddenly whispered, "This feels like when we were kids." I stared at the ceiling with open eyes. It did. It felt like nothing had changed. Yet, it felt like everything had changed. Willow officially settled into my apartment. Every morning when I woke up, breakfast was ready. When I left, she would hand me an umbrella at the door. It's supposed to rain today. When I came home, she always jogged to open the door. Caleb's home. Sometimes I felt momentarily confused, thinking we were genuinely living a life together. Until the day I went through my closet and discovered all my clothes had been refolded. They were arranged by color saturation. Even my socks were paired up perfectly. Willow Hayes. She poked her head out of the kitchen, still holding a spatula. "What's wrong? Who told you to touch my stuff?" She blinked. "It was too messy. I just organized it." "I don't need it." I kept my voice level. "My things, don't touch them." The smile faded from her face. "Oh." She lowered her head and returned to the kitchen. We didn't talk during dinner. She ate quietly and quietly cleaned the dishes. I sat on the couch, feeling irritable. I knew I shouldn't have snapped, but the feeling of someone intruding on my territory made me uncomfortable. That night, she didn't knock. The second bedroom was silent. I lay in bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. At 2 a.m, I got up for water. Passing the spare room, I saw light glowing under the door crack. She was talking softly on the phone inside. "Yeah, it's good. Don't worry about me. He treats me well too." Her voice was quiet, with a slight nasal tone. I stood at the door, the cup of water slowly cooling in my hand. The next morning, there was no breakfast. The dining table was bare. Her bedroom door was closed. I stood there for a moment, then went out and bought coffee and bagels. When I returned, she was up, sitting on the couch, spacing out. Her eyes were a little puffy. I put the breakfast on the table. "Eat." She looked up at me, slightly surprised. "I bought too much," I added. She slowly walked over, taking small bites. "Caleb, yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have touched your things." I paused, sipping my coffee. "I won't do it again," she whispered. My heart tightened slightly. "Whatever." She looked up at me. "Organize if you want to organize." I looked away. "Just don't touch my nightstand." Her eyes slowly brightened. "Okay." She grinned, looking like she'd won the lottery. Women are truly fickle. My mother launched a surprise attack. I was brushing my teeth in the bathroom when I heard the knock in her loud voice. "Will, Mom's here to see you both." I rushed out. Willow had just opened the door. Mom stood outside, holding large shopping bags. "Aunt Bev." "Still calling me Aunt Bev?" Mom feigned anger. Willow's face immediately turned red, and she whispered the correction, "Mom." Listening from behind, I almost choked. This performance was too authentic. Mom came in, satisfied, and looked around. Not bad, it's tidy." She specifically checked the spare room. "Why is this room so messy?" My heart jumped into my throat. Willow didn't bat an eye. "I've been working late a lot recently. Haven't had time to clean my things." Mom nodded. "Don't work too hard." She then went to check the master bedroom. "Why is there only one set of sheets on the bed?" Willow continued to lie smoothly. "The other set is at the dry cleaner. It's not back yet." I stood there, silently admiring her acting skills. This girl could lie without blinking. Mom finally finished her inspection and sat on the couch. "Are you two doing well?" "Very well." Willow dutifully poured tea. "Caleb hasn't given you any trouble, has he?" "No. Caleb is so good to me." She even turned back and smiled at me when she said that. The hair stood up on the back of my neck. Mom grabbed her hand. "If he ever gives you trouble, tell me, and I'll sort him out." She then glared at me. "Be good to Willow. Where are you going to find a better girl than this?" I could only nod. Finally, we managed to send Mom off, and I sighed in relief. Willow was washing fruit in the kitchen. "Thanks for that." She looked back. "For what?" "For covering." She smiled. Just the quality of a professional actor. I watched her humming happily while cutting fruit and suddenly felt maybe this wasn't so bad after all. That evening, I suggested we go out to eat. "Why?" She was surprised. "A reward for your performance today." Her eyes curved into crescents. "Then I want crawfish." We went to the place we used to frequent in college. The owner actually recognized us. Well, Caleb, Willow, you two are finally together." I was stunned. Willow was already smiling and nodding. "We are." The owner laughed heartily. I knew it. It was only a matter of time. While waiting for the food, I quietly asked her, "Why did the owner say that?" She lowered her head, shelling peanuts. I don't know. But her ears were red. When the crawfish arrived, she naturally put on gloves and started peeling. She placed all the shelled meat on my plate. Eat your own, I said. I love peeling them, not eating them, she said without looking up. I never noticed before how much she liked lying. I picked up a piece of crawfish, dipped it in the sauce, and held it to her mouth. She froze. Open up, I said. She stared blankly and opened her mouth. I fed it to her. Good. She nodded, her face slowly turning red. Eat some yourself, I said. She didn't look up for the rest of the meal, but I saw the corner of her mouth twitching upwards. The security firm assigned me new work, coaching at a tactical shooting club. On my first day, a few old colleagues teased me, suggesting we have a welcome dinner. Bring your significant other, they called. I texted Willow, colleagues' dinner tonight. Want to come? She replied instantly. Yes. Where? I sent her the location. She was waiting for me outside the club when I finished work. She wore a light yellow dress, her hair pulled back. She looked fresh and vibrant. My colleague's eyes widened. Nice stone, keeping the treasure hidden. She greeted them confidently. Hi everyone, I'm Willow Hayes. When we sat down, a female colleague deliberately sat next to me. It was Tiffany Lowe, the managing partner's daughter. Caleb, she leaned closer and asked, I heard you were in special forces? I leaned back slightly. Yeah, that's amazing. I really admire guys in uniform. She was about to say more when Willow suddenly linked her arm through mine. Caleb, I want to try that shrimp. Can you get me some? Her voice was sweet and soft. I served her the shrimp, and she smiled at me. Thanks, Caleb. Tiffany's expression soured slightly. A moment later, Tiffany tried again. Caleb, there's a shooting competition next week. Are you going to watch? I was about to answer when Willow suddenly addressed Tiffany. Ms. Lowe, my boyfriend doesn't like watching competitions. The whole table went quiet. Tiffany paused. How do you know he doesn't like it? Willow smiled. I'm his girlfriend, of course I know. As she spoke, she placed a shelled shrimp on my plate. Right, Caleb? I looked at her profile and suddenly wanted to laugh. Right. Tiffany finally stopped talking. The rest of the dinner was unusually quiet. On the drive home, Willow was silent. Just as we neared the apartment complex, she suddenly asked, Does that Tiffany girl like you? I raised an eyebrow. How would I know? The way she looked at you was wrong. What look? It's... She pursed her lips. The look of someone trying to poach my boyfriend. I burst out laughing. What are you laughing at? She glared at me. Nothing. I touched my nose. I just thought you were pretty fierce back there. She scoffed. Party B is obligated to defend Party A from unwelcome attention. Is that a clause? Yes, she declared righteously. The latest revision. The streetlights stretched our shadows. She quietly hooked her pinky finger around mine. Caleb, was my performance good? Her voice was soft, like a feather brushing my heart. It was all right. It was actually great. So great it made me nervous. I woke up in a cold sweat from a nightmare. It was the jungle again, the explosions and the gunfire. I got up to get water in the living room. In the darkness, I saw a figure curled up on the sofa. Willow was sleeping there, hugging her pillow. A glass of water was on the coffee table, with a note tucked beneath it. For the person having nightmares. I stood still, watching her for a long time. The water was warm. I drank it and went back to sleep, dreamless through the night. I woke up late the next day. When I came out, she was hanging laundry on the balcony. She was standing on her tiptoes, trying hard to reach the drying rack. I walked over and easily hung the clothes up. Thanks, Caleb. She turned and smiled at me. The sunlight hit her face, making her eyelashes shine. Did you sleep well last night? She asked. Fine. I didn't sleep well. She rubbed her eyes. The sofa is too small. Why did you sleep on the sofa? I was afraid you'd have nightmares, she said matter-of-factly. You had one last time, remember? I froze. She had heard it. I'm a light sleeper, she added. I heard a sound from your room. Something in my chest softened. Sleep in your room tonight. No, she shook her head. What if you have another nightmare? I won't. How do you know? Looking at her earnest expression, I suddenly wanted to ruffle her hair. I did exactly that. Her hair was soft, like a small animal's fur. She froze, her ears slowly turning red. Caleb, yeah, that's the first time you've touched my head. Was it? I didn't remember. Don't like it. She shook her head vigorously, her eyes sparkling. I like it. Her voice was barely audible. After that day, she didn't sleep on the sofa anymore. But every night, she would leave a glass of water on my nightstand. To prevent nightmares, she'd say, Later, I discovered she knew my phone passcode. How do you know that? I saw you enter it last time. She was completely unapologetic. You just saw it and remembered? I have a good memory. She did. Almost too good. She knew all my habits. How do you know everything? She was tying my shoelaces and she looked up and smiled, because I've been paying attention to you for a long time. She instantly froze after saying it, quickly looking down. Her ears were flaming red. The firm organized a team-building event at an amusement park. We could bring family. Tiffany specifically came over to ask me, Caleb, is your girlfriend coming? Yes. Her expression stiffened for a moment. That's great. Willow was excited when she heard about it. I want to ride the carousel. Childish. And eat cotton candy. Too sweet. And ride the Ferris wheel with you. Whatever. When we actually got to the amusement park, she was wilder than any kid, dragging me everywhere. Caleb, look. Balloons. Caleb, I want that hair clip. Caleb, let's go on that ride. I followed her the whole time, responsible for paying and carrying things. Tiffany and a few colleagues trailed behind us. Stone, I didn't realize you spoiled your girlfriend like this, someone commented. Before I could speak, Willow jumped in. He only spoils me. She held the cotton candy up to my mouth. Want a taste? I bit off a piece. Too sweet. But I didn't refuse. When playing the shooting gallery game, the owner boasted, hit all the balloons, and you and the giant stuffed animal. The colleagues egged me on. Caleb, show them what you've got. I picked up the rifle. The feel was strange, yet familiar. Go, Caleb, Willow shouted from the side. 10 shots, 10 hits. The owner's face turned green, and he handed over the half-man-sized bear. Willow hugged the bear, her eyes crinkling in a smile. Caleb, you are amazing. On the way home, she kept hugging the bear. You like it that much? I asked. Yes. She nodded hard. You want it. When we reached the complex, she suddenly shoved the bear back into my arms. It's for you. I was surprised. Why give it to me? Let it sleep with you, she said seriously. That way, you won't have nightmares. I looked at the ugly, cuddly bear, speechless. I don't want it. Take it, she insisted, pushing it closer. Just consider it. My gift to you. In the end, I carried the bear upstairs. It sat on my bed, taking up half the space. But that night, I genuinely didn't have a nightmare. The firm assigned me to train new personnel. It was a guy in his early 20s named Jake. He was overly enthusiastic and constantly hounded me about Special Forces life. Stone, have you really killed people? I frowned. Willow happened to arrive to drop off my lunch and heard the question. Jake, she smiled sweetly. I bought too much food. This one's for you. She successfully shut him up. After that, she came every day to bring lunch. 2 portions. Just being efficient, she'd say. But my portion always had more of the good stuff. Jake was overtly jealous. Caleb, your girlfriend is the best. I didn't say anything. Willow lowered her head and smiled, her ears faintly red. One evening after work, I saw her talking to someone outside. It was a man, dressed in a suit, looking quite sophisticated. Willow, long time no see. Brandon, she looked surprised. I walked over and naturally slipped my arm around her waist. Will, who is this? Her body stiffened momentarily, then relaxed. This is my college senior, Brandon Cole. She then introduced me to Brandon. This is my boyfriend, Caleb Stone. Brandon looked me over. Willow mentioned you. I raised an eyebrow. Mentioned what? Said you two were childhood friends. He smiled. Didn't realize you actually got together. Willow tugged my sleeve. Caleb, let's go. She was unusually quiet in the car. That Brandon, I started. Does he like you? She was startled. How do you know? I can tell. She played with her fingers. He chased me in college. I turned him down. I didn't reply. My chest felt slightly tight. Brandon Cole showed up again the next day. He was holding a large bouquet of roses. Willow, are you free tonight? I want to treat you to dinner. Before Willow could answer, I walked over. She's not free. Brandon looked at me. Mr. Stone, I just wanted to take an old classmate out to eat. Her boyfriend disagrees, I said. Willow hid behind me, quietly gripping the hem of my jacket. Brandon eventually left. He left the flowers behind. Willow held the bouquet, looking slightly helpless. Throw them out, I said. But they're so pretty. I'll buy you flowers. Her eyes lit up, really? Yeah. I didn't know why I said it, but seeing her happy made it feel worth it. That weekend, Willow said she had a college reunion. Is Brandon going? I asked. Maybe, she said, looking down while putting on her shoes. Lots of people are going. I sat on the couch, saying nothing. She reached the door, then came back. Caleb. Do you want to come with me? I raised an eyebrow. Why would I go? Just to, she bit her lip, fulfill the contract. In the end, I went. The reunion was at a karaoke bar, loud and bustling. Brandon was there, as expected. He looked surprised to see me, but managed a greeting. Mr. Stone came too, accompanying Willow, I said. Willow sat right next to me. Her classmates started demanding she sing a song. She couldn't refuse and picked an old standard. Hard to forget the first time I saw you. Her voice was soft, and her eyes kept drifting toward me. When she sang, "Falling for You," it was out of my hands. Her face was exceptionally red. Her classmates applauded. Brandon didn't look happy. Halfway through, I went to the restroom. When I came back, I heard people talking in the hallway. It was Brandon and Willow. "Willow, are you really happy?" "Of course. But I don't think you two look like a couple." "What do you mean?" "You two are too polite." I stood still listening. Willow was silent for a moment, then said, "Brandon, the status of Caleb and I's relationship doesn't need anyone else's opinion. I'm just looking out for you." "No need." She turned to leave and saw me, freezing. "Caleb." I walked over and put my arm around her shoulder. "Done talking?" She nodded. Brandon looked at us, finally turning and walking away. She didn't speak on the way home. As we approached the complex, she suddenly asked, "Caleb, do we really not look like a couple?" I turned to look at her. The streetlights haloed her face, her eyelashes casting small shadows. Whether we look like it or not isn't important. Then what is important? I didn't answer, because I didn't know. It was Mom's birthday, and she hosted a party at home. All the cousins and aunties came. The focus, naturally, was on Willow and me. "When's the wedding? Hurry up and have a baby. Auntie is young enough to help you raise them." Willow smiled and handled the barrage the entire time. "We're still planning." "Thank you, Auntie, we'll consider it." I watched her navigate the situation with such ease, feeling slightly disoriented. It was as if we really were planning a future together. When we cut the cake, Mom pulled us together for a photo. "Get closer. Caleb, put your arm around Willow." I reached out and put my arm around her waist. It was slender. I could feel her warmth through the fabric. Her body stiffened for a moment, then relaxed, leaning into my embrace. "Perfect. Just like that. Smile." The flash went off. I suddenly wished time would stop. The guests left, and we helped clean up. Mom called Willow into the bedroom. After I finished washing the dishes, I heard faint crying coming from inside. I knocked and entered. Mom's eyes were red. "Caleb, you have to treat Willow well." "I know." "No, you don't." She wiped her tears. "For the past 3 years, Willow came to see me regularly." I froze. When I was sick, she was the one who went to the clinic with me. When the furnace went out at the house, she was the one who found someone to fix it. She always said she was doing it for you, taking care of your filial duties. I looked at Willow. She was looking down, twisting the hem of her shirt. We were silent on the drive back to the apartment. When we got downstairs, she turned to go up. I grabbed her hand. "Why?" She didn't turn around. "Why what? Why did you do all that?" She was silent for a long time. "Because I promised you." "Promised what?" "You told me to look after Aunt Bev when you left." My heart pounded. That was 3 years ago, something I just tossed out at the train station. I was just saying that. I took it seriously. She turned back, her eyes shockingly bright. "Caleb Stone, every single thing you said, I took seriously. Including the line, 'You are my girlfriend.'" She didn't say it, but I understood. The firm got a big contract. We had to do security training for a corporate executive group. The client specifically requested me. "We hear you're the best," the client representative said. The training location was out of town, requiring an overnight stay. As I packed my bag, Willow hovered nearby. "Just one night." "Yeah, it gets cold out there. Pack an extra layer." "Got it." She folded my shirts and put them in the suitcase. Then she slipped in a packet of herbal tea mix. "To prevent colds." I looked at her busy back and suddenly said, "Why don't you come with me?" She paused. "I can. I think I can bring a guest." Her eyes lit up. "Then I'll go pack." In the end, we got into the firm's car together. Our colleagues were now used to it. Caleb brings his +1 everywhere now. Willow looked slightly embarrassed, but I squeezed her hand. "A problem?" "No problem, no problem." The training facility was basic, but had great scenery. There was a welcome dinner that night, and I drank a fair amount. When I got back to the room, Willow was brewing the herbal tea. "You drank?" She frowned. "A little." She pressed me onto the bed and handed me the mug. "Drink it." I took it. The heat made my eyes water slightly. "Willow Hayes." Why are you so good to me?" Her hand paused. "I want to be good to you. Is that wrong?" "I'm not worth it." "Whether you're worth it is up to me." She crouched down, looking up at me. "Caleb Stone, you are a good man, and you deserve all the good things." I looked into her serious eyes, and something inside me collapsed. I leaned down and kissed her. The taste of the herbal tea spread across our lips. She froze, then slowly responded. When we pulled apart, we were both slightly breathless. Her face was fiercely red, and her eyes were moist. "Does that count as breaching the contract?" she asked softly. It counts as an extension of the contract, I said. She smiled, burying her face in my chest. How long is the extension? A lifetime. I didn't answer, just held her tighter. The moonlight outside the window was beautiful. Everything was beautiful. End of main, story epilogue 1. Temporary assignment. It was 10 o'clock at night. I was leaning on the sofa, reading a tactical magazine. Willow was sitting cross-legged next to me, eating chips and scrolling through her tablet. Her foot occasionally nudged my leg. Suddenly, she sat bolt upright and shoved the tablet screen in front of my face. Caleb, emergency situation. I didn't even lift an eyelid. Talk. My mom. 3 hours until arrival at the battlefield. No, until arrival at our apartment complex. I finally put down the magazine and glanced at the screen. It was their family chat group history. Her mother, Diane, had sent a message saying she'd arrive tomorrow morning to give her a surprise. But her aunt had accidentally leaked the surprise early. So, I raised an eyebrow. Willow gave me a look that said, "Isn't it obvious? So we need to immediately enter first-level combat readiness." I told my mom we were cohabiting, but she hasn't done a site survey. This is a snap inspection. And we need to role-play. Her eyes were incredibly bright, with a mix of tension and excitement. This time it's not for your mom, it's for mine. The script is, we are a couple who just moved in together, deep in the honeymoon phase, maybe with some sweet little friction, but overall extremely affectionate. I looked at her. Aren't we? She paused, blushing slightly, but immediately went into director mode. Similar nature, but the details need refinement. The focus is on the feeling of just moved in and honeymoon phase. We need to show that subtle boundary sense and fresh novelty of early space sharing. Familiar, yet slightly bashful. I understood what she meant. In front of my mother, we were in the stable phase. Now, we needed to revert to the adjustment phase. Specific action plan? She jumped off the sofa and started rapidly assigning tasks. First, trace management. My things need to naturally invade your space, but quickly. For example, on this sofa, my knit throw blanket needs to be draped over your tactical magazine. On the coffee table, my skincare products need to be right next to your water cup. The bathroom is critical. My face wash, towels, and, well, they must be next to yours, and they need to look like they're in daily use, not too perfectly arranged. As she spoke, she was already moving. She kicked her fluffy bunny slippers next to my rugged men's hiking boots. Second, the bedroom is the key inspection area. She dragged me into the master bedroom. Pillows. The height and indentation of the two pillows need to be different, looking like they are frequently slept on. The nightstand. My novel needs to be next to your book, perhaps with one of my hair ties marking the page. The closet. Our clothes need to be mixed together, but not obviously, just like they've been grabbed casually over time. She moved through the room like a detective, muttering to herself. I watched her tuck one of her scarves into my tie rack. Then she placed my dive watch next to her cartoon watch on the nightstand. It was suddenly hilarious. Finally, and most importantly, she stood in front of me, her expression severe. The acting. Comrade Caleb Stone, your moment of truth has arrived. Honeymoon phase vibe. Ow, it has to be. Inadvertent physical contact like touching hands when passing water, slipping an arm around my waist when walking by, and your gaze needs to be smoldering. She tried hard to describe it, but her own ears turned red first. But it can't be too sappy. It has to be natural. Also, she might ask some personal questions like who cooks, who washes dishes, how we handle expenses, and if we fight. We need to sync our stories ahead of time. I watched her nervous demeanor and took a step forward. I reached out and tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear. She instantly froze, blinking up at me. Like this. I looked down at her, my finger lightly tracing her earlobe. Her face flushed visibly. She mumbled softly. Yes, that's the inadvertent tenderness. But the gaze isn't quite smoldering yet. I couldn't help but smile. I bent closer, our noses almost touching, my eyes locked onto her flickering gaze. How about this? Her breathing clearly hitched, and she drew back slightly. Her voice was even smaller. Almost there. Caleb Stone, since when were you such a good actor? It's not acting. I straightened up, rubbing the top of her head. It's instinct. Dealing with your mom will be child's play. She stared for a few seconds, then jumped up and punched my arm. You scared me. I thought you were really going to kiss me. I lowered my head, and this time I genuinely kissed her, murmuring against her lips, add a clause. Party A agrees to cooperate with Party B for all necessary role-playing. She protested, breathing heavily between kisses. Party A is unilaterally adding clauses again. Protest denied. The next day, Mom Diane arrived. Willow's acting was a little dramatic. One minute she was giving me fruit, the next minute she was adjusting my collar that wasn't actually crooked. Her eyes kept darting towards me with a smoldering look. I, however, was perfectly natural, taking the fruit, putting my arm around her waist, and answering Mom Diane's tricky questions flawlessly. Willow has a bit of a temper, but she's easy to charm. I usually do the dishes. She cooks, and she's great at it. Arguments? Occasionally. But usually, we argue for a bit, and then, well, Mom Diane went from suspicious to beaming. She finally left, thoroughly satisfied. After sending her off, Willow breathed a huge sigh of relief, collapsing onto the sofa. Finally done with the performance. I'm exhausted. I walked over and pulled her up. It's not over. Next scene, I said, entirely straight-faced. Honeymoon couple celebrates the successful passing of the snap inspection. Usually there are some intimate interactions. She realized what I meant and laughed, hitting my arm. Caleb Stone, you are way too into this role. Be professional, actor Hayes. I smiled, scooping her up and walking toward the bedroom. Temporary assignment starts now. End of Epilogue 1, Epilogue 2. Name and claim the day the agreement expired. I deliberately didn't mention it. That fool Willow seemed to have forgotten too. In the morning, she automatically burrowed into my arms, her hair tickling my chin. Caleb, I want breakfast tacos this morning. I held her close, answering with my eyes still shut. Since moving up, this girl had gotten increasingly unruly. Before it was just a hug, I'm cold. Now, she brazenly steals my pillow and shoves her freezing feet against my legs. But I guess, I don't mind. As I left for work, she clung to the doorframe, reminding me, come home early, okay? Today is a special day. My heart skipped a beat, but I kept my face blank. What day? She blinked. I'm not telling. At the club, I was distracted all day. Jake sidled up to me. Stone, is it the missus's birthday today? No. Anniversary? No. Then why do you keep checking your phone? I locked my screen and tossed the phone onto the desk. Get back to training. The moment the closing bell rang, I was the first one out. My colleagues laughed behind me. Stone is racing home. I arrived at the apartment. The lights were off. Willow Hayes. No answer. Cold food sat on the dining table, with a large bowl inverted in the center. I lifted it to find a lump of congealed birthday noodles. Next to it was a note. Agreement expired. Party B has withdrawn. Party A is kindly asked to wash the dishes himself. P.S. Surprise in the fridge. I pulled open the fridge. A small cake sat inside. A card was stuck in it. Extension gift? Today's date was written on it. Only then did I realize. 3 months ago today, we signed that ridiculous agreement. I pulled out my phone and called her. It rang 7 or 8 times before she answered. The background was loud. She was in a noisy karaoke bar.